Hi, it's John, and welcome to the channel, 4:51 a.m. on Monday, March the 24th, with the big blue mug of coffee. I hope you're having a great day today, and thank you so much. I made it to 16,000 subscribers over the weekend. If you click on subscribe right now, we'll make it to 17,000. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. So, yesterday, Mark Carney uttered one sentence to a question from the media, and he told me exactly what's going to happen if the Liberals are re-elected. So I'm going to play that for you in just a moment. It was quite telling, and I don't think other people have caught on to this. But let me just remind you that today government is back. Isn't it wonderful to resolve the problems here in Canada? And there are numerous ones that need to be resolved. Actually, it's not back. I mean, this is the end of prorogation today, but we're now into an election campaign because of the Liberal Party. So let's go back. It was December 19th when Parliament went on vacation for Christmas, so was that 3 months ago, 2.5 months ago, Trudeau prorogued government. January 27th, government was supposed to be back to solve the numerous problems here in Canada, but weren't because the Liberals were involved in a leadership campaign. Nothing got done, and now here we are in election campaign. In fact, we could even probably go back, thinking about this, to last September when the Green Slush Fund thing burst out, and there was government dysfunction for months after that, because they wouldn't hand over some paperwork. So nothing has been done to resolve your problems, which are really important, because the Liberals haven't been doing their job. And now they're the ones who are going to save us from all the problems we've got. Why? Because of 51st State. This is where we are in this country, folks. 51st State. Canada's going to become the 51st state. That's how this election is going to be run. After 10 years of mismanagement by the Liberal Party, that's where we are. 35 days of 51st state, Pierre Poilievre is Donald Trump, unless he switches the channel, which he's got to do right now. But here's the thing. Think about that. Canada becoming the 51st state. Leave Donald Trump out of that. Do you really think that's going to happen? Of course you don't, because you're logical. It's the stupidest thing you've ever heard in your life, but millions of Canadians are going to vote for Mark Carney in the 51st state, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. We are not a serious country. We deserve to be the 51st state, folks. This is disgraceful. It's just the most ridiculous thing. You are stupid if you're voting because of 51st. Elbows up, folks. Good God. It's ridiculous. Carney said something yesterday, and he uses the 51st state thing. The Donald Trump ties Poilievre to Donald Trump, my premier as well. But he said something yesterday that told me exactly how he's going to deal with this country and millions of people in this country and particular places in this country if he and the Liberal Party are reelected. Watch this.
Good afternoon, Mr. Carney. Christopher Nardi from the National Post. So Alberta Premier Danielle Smith recently said that she had asked the United States administration to pause their tariffs during the federal election because they were benefiting Liberals in the polls and hurting Conservatives under Pierre Poilievre. What is your response to those comments, and will you be able to work with the Premier in light of that revelation?
Well, my responsibility is to work with all Canadians, with all stakeholders, certainly with the premiers, with national Indigenous organizations, with Labour, with other stakeholders, with everyone. So that's my responsibility. I take that seriously. With respect to the premier's comments, I take note of her alignment of Monsieur Poilievre with Mr. Trump. And would note that that's one of the decisions that Canadians will have to make, whether they want a government that is unifying, that's standing up for Canada, and is taking focused action to build a better economy, or they want division and Americanism. And that's what Mr. Poilievre seems to be offering, and just endorsed by the Premier of Alberta.
We'll get to what Carney says in just a moment, but there's a lot to be said for the question that was asked from the journalist from the National Post. Did you catch that he didn't call him Mr. Prime Minister? He called him Mr. Carney. I thought that was interesting. But the question was about Danielle Smith telling the Americans to hold off on the tariffs for a while because it was helping the Liberals in the polls. She gets it. She understands what's at stake here. Do the 51st state believers actually get it? No. You don't get it. Danielle Smith gets it. The country's closer to falling apart, not because of Donald Trump, who lives rent-free in your brains if you're a 51st stater, for God's sakes. It's closer to falling apart because you're going to vote Liberal. Here it is on the screen. I did a video on this the other day. The end of Canada is closer than you think. On the left side, it says, if the Carney Liberals win. That's true. Bell, Calgary Sun, Rick Bell, Smith firm, if demands tossed, Alberta could hold a referendum. That's coming, folks. I'll get to that in just a moment. But what do you get for the 51st staters? Oh, isn't it wonderful? Mark Carney in a hockey rink talking to Mike Myers about Mr. Dress Up. We're pathetic. How ridiculous are you? Oh, Casey and Finnegan. Oh, my goodness. You know, that's just trying to woo really old people who live in Ontario. Carney doesn't want to do anything to keep this country together. What does he say here in his speech? Let's get to what he said here. It's ridiculous. This is the final sentence. I wrote it down. Whether they want a government that is unifying. He doesn't want to unify the government. He goes on right after that to slag on half the people in the country and the guy who's running against him in the Premier of Alberta. Listen to this. Whether they want a government that is unifying, that's standing up for Canada and is taking focused attention to build a better economy, or they want division and Americanism. And that's what Mr. Poilievre seems to be offering and just endorsed by the Premier of Alberta. So he's calling Mr. Poilievre, Pierre Poilievre, the head of the Conservative Party, and the Premier of Alberta, Danielle Smith, anti-Canadian. That's basically what he's saying. Division? That's exactly what he wants. There's nothing unifying about this statement at all. This is business as usual, folks. Alberta has demands of the government. Or there's going to be a national unity crisis. Danielle Smith said that. You damn right there's going to be a national unity crisis if the Liberals win. Mr. and Mrs. 51st Stater. What are you, stupid? Yeah, you are. What is it? P.T. Barnum said there's a sucker born every minute. Well, look in the mirror, Mr. and Mrs. 51st Stater, because you're the sucker. An all-day sucker if you vote Liberal. But that's where we are. So Mr. Poilievre has to make this about something else. He needs to outflank Carney on the right now, because Carney's taken all of his ideas. Now, Poilievre said the other day he's got a number of things coming up, and he's not stupid. You don't show all your cards prior to the election. So he needs to come up with something pretty radical here. And go right. A lot of people have been slagging on Poilievre online for not going far enough right. Well, give him a chance here. We're now in the election. But here's the thing. Abacus data says it's about a 3% lead right now for the Conservatives. And remember that the Conservatives have to get a majority. If it's a minority Conservative government, a minority Liberal government, or a majority Liberal government, they're in power. That coalition government will come, the government will get voted down when it comes to confidence, and the Liberals and the NDP and the Bloc and the rest of them will all team up, and we'll have 4 to 5 more years of Liberal rule in this country. Just remember that. But here's where we are, folks. We've got 35 more days to turn this thing around. You know, I'm feeling pretty good about it. I think Poilievre can pull this out. All he's got to do is get Carney talking, because he's not very good when he talks. And talk about what he believes in. And I think the net zero thing is his Achilles heel. I really do. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel as well. Ring the bell for notifications. Let's get to 17,000, and I'll see you in the next one. I forgot to mention later today, I do have a scheduled interview with the interim leader of an independence party here in Alberta. I should have that for you tomorrow morning. Thanks for watching.